The room is rectangular, with a single row of windows looking out over the back alley rusted air conditioners, laundry dangling from wire racks, low gray clouds, and about a dozen people encircling me on old folding chairs, fidgeting with their notes. I can smell the coffee burned into the walls. We're in a borrowed studio in Gangnam, and Mrs. Seo, our instructor, has just finished reading aloud the first chapter of my novel. The silence after she closes the folder is sharp, and not a single face meets mine. Then someone coughs. I know what's coming. I know because I heard murmurs when I turned in the pages last week, because my family rolled their eyes at me handing over another draft, because my brother snorted, "Oh, you're still doing this thing?" But I'm here, again, because part of me believes I can get through. The other part is already bracing itself. Mrs. Seo doesn't speak first. She's too professional for open disdain. She'll wait for the group. The youngest woman, Sune, can barely contain her laughter, scrolling her phone with one hand. She sets it down, looking up with her mouth pursed. "I don't understand what you're trying to do," Sune starts, voice brittle with forced politeness. "It doesn't sound like Seoul. It doesn't sound like real people. How can anyone believe this guy?" She points at my protagonist's name on the script, her eyes glinting with ridicule. Someone else snickers, a man Jung-ho, who works in advertising, leans forward, eager to join. The dialogue, it's weirdly poetic. No one talks like that outside a textbook. It's old-fashioned, reminds me of my dad pretending to be clever. I look down at my notebook, pretending to jot their comments, but really I'm making slashed lines just to keep my hands busy. Mrs. So decides enough has been said. I think what they're trying to express is that your writing doesn't feel anchored. The structure wavers. Have you ever even published before? There's a way of doing things. You have to earn your place in readers' heads. She offers a tight-lipped smile. I swallow the old humiliation. It's a taste I've grown used to, like metal on my tongue. My palms moisten. I want to argue, to tell them about the hours I've spent watching the city, practicing the way hope sneaks into everyday conversations, the way grief wears people down. But I can't. I hear my brother's voice in my head, amused and superior. "You want to be a novelist, Minho? Who cares what you want? Who's going to read you?" So instead, I nod politely, gathering my pages as best I can. "Thank you for your feedback," I say, voice neutral. The critique moves on. I pull my scarf tight and look out the window, watching a crow pick at garbage on the roof across from us, legs jerking with comical determination. Half a block away, neon shop signs are flickering on early for the drizzle. I picture myself among them, invisible and forgettable. After the session, I rush down the stairwell into the sharp autumn wind. My phone buzzes, a message from my mother. "Appa wants you to send your job applications. Stop wasting time on your hobby." I type, delete, and type again, settling on, "I heard you, I'll try." But I don't mean it, and as I walk home, the ache inside me hardens into something not unlike clarity. Tonight, I will revise. I will write, even if I am the only person who believes there's something worth uncovering in these stories. Our apartment smells like boiled cabbage and dish soap. "Come here," he prompts, as if he might suddenly approve of my hobbies if I show the right deference. I hover at the table. "How was your evening?" He purses his lips, a small sign of irritation. "You know what would be a good story? Someone who gets a real job and doesn't make their family worry." He means well. Or he means to wound. It's hard to tell, even after all these years. I steel myself and excuse myself to my room. I sit at my desk, back hunched, staring at the pages covered in red pen from the critique. They look like blood spatters, violent, decisive. Outside, the city clatters on. There is always a neighbor hammering, a child crying, dogs barking in the alley. I begin again. I erase dialogue, write in new ones, trying to scrape away the stiffness. I picture my protagonist, lost, striving walking the cracked sidewalks near the Han River, trying to prove to someone, anyone, that his words matter. Night becomes morning, the sky paling behind thin curtains. This goes on for years. I work odd shifts at a bookstore to keep the peace, stocking shelves, memorizing the faces of authors whose books I long to see my own among. Every time I mention a new rejection letter or contest, my brother chimes in from his corner of the dinner table. You know they tell most writers no, right? Maybe it's a sign. Family gatherings are worse. Grandmother always asks, "Any news yet?" while pouring me too much barley tea that I pretend to enjoy. Uncles and aunts smile thinly. Nobody wants to say it outright, but I know. To them, I am a child clinging to a ridiculous hope that should have been banished by now. Even friends start to treat me gently, as if afraid I'll break under the weight of my useless dream. They talk about promotions, first apartments, travel plans, weddings. I nod, understanding I don't quite belong. Still, I write. I carry notebooks everywhere, the subway, cafes, even the roof of our apartment at midnight. I draft stories about loss, about small victories, about the hidden beauty in ordinary heartbreak. I read the classics and the new releases, squinting at the catalog copy that tells me what's supposed to sell. At times, I feel like an intruder in my own life. My skin prickles with shame when my parents talk about me to neighbors, always as a worry, never as a source of pride. But in the silence, after everyone is asleep and the building settles into creaks and sighs, I sense my own clarity growing. Writing hurts, but nothing else feels as. One night, my father drinks too much soju and says, "Why can't you do what everyone else does, Minho?" I watch the veins twitch over his knuckles. My answer, "It matters to me," stays trapped behind my teeth. The next morning, groggy, I check my email over coffee. There's a letter from a small but respected publisher. They like my manuscript. They think it could be something special. Would I rewrite the ending, make some adjustments? If so, they'd love to meet. I reread the message twice, numb. After years of silence, of careful no thank yous, it is like sunlight through dirty glass. My hands shake. I sit down and grieve, pressing my forehead to the desk. I don't tell anyone at first. I want to keep this flame hidden from the wind. But every day I revise, carving and shaping. A month later, I send it in. There is another wait. Emails with track changes, phone calls with nervous laughter, contracts with lines I can barely parse. My family ignores my absence at meals. They assume I am wasting time again. One evening, just after the monsoon season ends, the news comes. I will be published. I tell my parents and my brother after dinner. My father coughs and says nothing. My mother studies my face for so long that it is hard to meet her eyes. "When?" she asks. "Next year," I reply. "Maybe this spring." "I suppose you'll finally move out then. Start working on your real life," my brother mutters. Cutting the kimchi with too much force. I don't try to explain, but inside something begins to thaw. Publication day is cold, sleet blowing over the city like torn bits of silver paper. I stand in front of the bookstore, hands jammed in my coat, peering through the window at the stacks. There, between bestsellers and cookbooks, my book sits quietly, white cover, bold type, my name gleaming in black. A few customers flip through it. One shrugs and moves on. Another tucks it under her arm with a passing interest. I don't introduce myself. I don't dare. The reviews trickle in, small blogs, online forums, then newspapers. Some like it. Most don't, but some do. A well-known novelist mentions it on TV as raw but promising. My phone buzzes with messages from old classmates, half-hearted congratulations tinged with disbelief. Several weeks later, my publisher arranges a signing event in the basement of a hip book cafe. The air is thick with roasting coffee beans, jazz crackling from old speakers. I sit at a battered table, pen in hand, as a strange parade of people, quiet students, middle-aged couples, one elderly man clutching a battered satchel, tells me what they found in my story. When I sign their books, I remember every step it took to get here. Months pass. The book wins a modest award. My editor calls. Voice brimming with delight. Next one, she asks, hopeful. Family, for the most part, remains silent. My father has read exactly half the book. My mother complains that it's too sad. But my world is different now. I give talks at high schools, visit libraries, sit in on panels. I am invited, cautiously, sometimes skeptically, into spaces that once would have seemed impossible. Each time, I carry a small stone of grief inside me, a memory of how badly I wanted